Okay, my cue. So we'll call the meeting to order, and in honor of the Lillooet, the Village of Pemberton acknowledges that we are meeting within the unceded territory of the Lillooet Nation. That this meeting is being held virtually, and all participants attending adhere to the PHO's orders respecting physical distancing as a measure to prevent the transmission of COVID-19. We're meeting here, will be involved in and participate in the meetings virtually as you would in person. And for members of the public in attendance, which I don't think we have any yet.
No, we do. We have two.
Okay, we do.
Yes.
Note the meeting is a live webinar and is being recorded. And the recording of the meeting will be available on the village's website after the meeting. So the first business is to approve the agenda. I'll ask for a motion and a seconder.
Yeah, I'll motion to approve the agenda that's been presented.
I'll stick on that.
And all in favor? I think we all carry that one. And second item of business is at our last Board of Variance meeting, June 23rd, 2021, we recommend that the Board of Variance meetings held be adopted as circulated. A motion and a seconder to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Yeah, I can recommend that we would approve the minutes from the last meeting on June the 23rd.
All right, I'll stick on that.
And carried. So I think we turn it over to Mark at this point.
Yep. All right, so this is, I'm just going to share my screen. Camera's the Board of Variance presentation. Yep.
Yes.
Great, so this is for 7508 Pebble Creek Drive. The purpose of the presentation is to provide an overview of the proposed retaining wall variance request. The Board of Variance application was submitted June 30th, then the internal report to the Board of Variance, and then right now Board of Variance review July 28th. So the site is located up in the ridge, and we're talking about the subject parcel 7508 Pebble Creek Drive. The OCP designation is residential. From the zoning point of view, it's the Ridge RSA2, and the surrounding land uses are all single family residential. So for the Board of Variance application, the applicant is requesting variances to permit a proposed retaining wall structure. The following variances from section 4.13 and 7.21 of the zoning bylaw 832/2018 are requested. To vary section 4.13A to vary the height of 2 retaining walls from 1.2 meters as required to a maximum of 1.86 meters, a relaxation of 0.66 meters to be cited on the lot in general compliance with location of the proposed site plan lot 6 dated March 22nd, 2021, or in a location approved by a building permit, and to vary 7.2.19 AI to relax the maximum height of the retaining wall from 1.2 to a maximum of 1.86 meters, a relaxation of 0.66 meters. The history of the application. The application is for this proposed retaining wall, and as the agent and the owners of 7508 Pebble Creek Drive understand that the proposed retaining wall structures requires a variance, it was then decided to submit this application to the Board of Variance. And today retaining walls are subject to these sections that were just mentioned, as these retaining walls are above 1.2 meters in height. So looking at the survey plan, one can see that the site is generally sloping to the southwest. And here are a couple pictures: southeast property line looking northwest and southeast property line looking west. Here's another photo, midpoint of the south property line looking north. This is the proposed retaining walls. And here's a rendering of the proposed retaining walls. So the variance is required for the maximum height from the average natural grade on wall 2 and wall 3, which are the upper 2 tiers. The retaining walls do not project into any of the required rear or side yard setbacks. And the retaining walls proposed are not located within 0.6 meters. So we're not talking about the width here. We're just talking about the height on wall 2 and 3. So this is a better photo or rendering of them. So with the blue wall, wall 2, the maximum height 1.31. So requested relaxation is 0.09 meters. And the purple wall, wall 3, 1.86 meters with the relaxation of 1.66. Site profiles, and again, the variance is required for wall 2 and 3, not wall 1. And the applicant has proposed a landscape plan for the entire retaining wall structure. As for communications, the public notice was sent out within 100 or to all residents within 100 meters 2 weeks prior to this meeting, and 0 submissions were received to village staff about the variance. So for the options to the Board of Variance, would be 1, approve the variance, 2, approve the variance with conditions, require the variance to be approved on the condition of general compliance with proposed site plan lot 6 dated March 22nd, 2021, completed by Coast Essential Construction. Or 3, reject the variance. The retaining wall will be required to be modified to comply with the zoning regulations, or the applicant will have the option to seek a development variance permit from the Village of Pemberton Council. Or 4, deem the variance request to be outside the mandate of the Board of Variance, as the board does not consider the request to be minor. For whatever the notice of decision was, it will be within 7 days that the village will have to let the applicant know. And please let me know if you have any questions.
So at this point, we've got board members have an opportunity to ask questions of staff. Tom, Phil, questions?
I don't have too many questions. I mean, I looked at the report. There's a lot of information in here. That's a pretty good application, actually. I don't really have any questions at this point. My understanding of it is pretty clear.
Quick question, obviously the Board of Variance, as I understand it, is looking at 2 applications which will include the adjoining lot immediately uphill, correct?
Correct. And that will be after this application.
And I could ask a question at that point, but I might as well do it now. Just the setback, you mentioned that the retaining walls are not within any of the setbacks. And just wanted a bit of clarity on that.
So for lot 6, which we're discussing now, these proposed retaining walls are not within any of the required setbacks. But for the next application on lot 7, the retaining walls are protruding into the required side yard setbacks. And that'll be noted in the next presentation.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Yeah, that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, but
So
for this application, they are not protruding into the required setbacks.
Yeah.
Lot 6.
Okay.
I don't have any questions for staff at this time. As far as a package goes, it's clear, and the level of detail is appreciated. The renderings, particularly for me, are easy to interpret. So that looks consistent with what we've seen before and what is there. So no questions for staff from my end. That brings us to the applicants who have an opportunity to speak, which we can promote to panelists if they accept the invitation.
Sure, I can do that now. So we have two attendees, Farhang Shahidi and Reed Madiak, and I will promote them both. Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Hi. It would be great if one of you, rather than both, were a spokesperson and wanted to give your rationale.
Sure. Farhang, do you want me to do that?
Or for it.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, my name is Reed. I'm the owner operator of Coast Essential Construction. We've been contracted to build these two houses. Yeah, hard to just talk about lot 6, so I'll give a little feedback about the two lots. We are going to be building two houses one at a time. We're going to start the house on lot 7 first, but we have a bunch of really bad fill that we can't build on. So we want to move it forward to the south end, retain without removing any of the fill off sites. And we're trying to keep our carbon footprint down by not bringing in fill. So we're using a mechanically stabilized earth format to build the walls so that we're not trucking anything in or out. So the intention is that we move all that fill to the south ends. Even some of the fill from lot 7 will go to lot 6. We'll retain it all. Then our pads will be prepped for building. We'll then build lot 7. And then once lot 7's done, then we'll build lot 6. Once you get into the lot 7 variance, you will see we do have between 6 and 7. We have asked for the variance on the siting because we are right on property line. Now that is the lots currently are shared by the same owner. We were hoping because of the side yards, it is tight. We still might have to retain a little bit more on lot 6 as well, depending once we get in there with the excavator to see what happens on that side yard. So hopefully we can kind of make that work and make it look nice and keep it efficient. Our intention is to landscape it all out with very native species. So of course, all our pictures and the renderings show the grass that grows on the gabion type baskets. It's not actually a get basket, but it's more of a big J cloth that ends up holding it all in. But we're going to try to plant it with Kinnicknick and Oregon grape, similar to Salal, so that it looks very, very native to the area, not actually plant grass on the walls.
Okay, thanks.
Board members are now offered the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant.
Yeah, I don't think I have any questions for Reed. I assume that, yeah, the retaining walls for the lot 6 are going to get built first so that they can hold the fill movements for lot 7, and then the upper ones get built afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be kind of done fairly in conjunction.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping to get, once we're through this, we're hoping to get in for building permit for lot 7 and a site alteration permit for lot 6, and then kind of build the walls all at the same time. But yes, we would start at the lower end, which would be lot 6, and then work our way up, but we would keep going and build both lots, retaining kind of all in conjunction at the same time.
Sorry, Reed, did you say you're hoping to get your building permit first for lot 7?
Yes, we will build lot 7 first. So then we're hoping, if the retaining walls get approved, that we would do those based on a site alteration permit so that we could kind of do them both at the same time.
Okay.
As we have not started any design yet for lot 6.
Okay, so just so you know, under a site alteration permit, you are not allowed to build a retaining wall. You will need a retaining wall permit.
Yes, I got you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I would assume we would have needed a site alteration permit at the same time though, because we are altering the site.
Correct. Yeah, you would need both.
Yes.
I think one question just would be on the retaining wall that is shown on the drawings. It's right in between, on the property line between lot 6 and 7. Has any thought been put just to pushing it back, that the alignment of it just back onto lot 7 by 2 feet, just to be at least in a little more independent?
We definitely could. I mean, with our big thing is, as it was coming around the corner, was trying to keep it symmetrical with the same size of planting between it. So that's how we've done it now. So if we move that wall back, the middle wall may not move. So then it might just be very tight spacing between the two walls.
Mm-hmm.
But that is an option.
Yeah, I think it would still be not in compliance with the sort of side setbacks for a structure. Is that correct, Lisa?
I'll let Mark answer that question.
Just gonna share my screen. So Phil, you're talking about lot 7 now? Or you're talking
Yeah.
about lot 6?
Yeah, I just lot 7. There's just the one wall that's separating the two of them, and I realized that it's the same owner at this point in time.
Yeah, so we're still talking about, this is the drawing for lot 7.
Yeah.
We are talking about the lot 6 application, but I understand that they do relate to each other. So yes, this is the wall that is protruding into that setback. Staff would have to see another drawing to see if it would still protrude into it, but this one is pretty much right on the property line by missing it by 2 inches. So they would have to put it pretty far back to not protrude into that side yard setback.
I think the side yard setbacks are 5 feet, aren't they?
Yeah, 1.2, but then if a 1.2 meter wall can sit anywhere on the site, but this wall being proposed is higher than 1.2 meters. So that's why there's the variance.
Yeah.
Again, this is for lot 7, not lot 6.
Yeah. Okay.
So just a correction, the interior side setback in the RSA 2 zone is 1.5.
Oh, 1.5, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions.
Question I have would be, was any consideration made to adding like a 4th tier that would have complied, and what sort of impact that had on your site? How far uphill did you have to chase that slope?
Once you get into the lot 7, because lot 6 did work very well. I think as we didn't need to go for any siting, they're just a tiny bit over the maximum height. Lot 7, there is a drawing for the next package where we did a rendering of bylaw compliant walls. So it ends up showing you, like that picture there is supposed to be of our finished wall, which is 3, but they're set back fairly big. So they are taller walls. They're about 6'6". But there's a lot of space in between them for planting. There's another rendering that we did of the bylaw compliant walls, which I think there's like 4 or 5. And yes, we could go ahead and we could do that, but to us, it wasn't following the natural contours as much, and it looked way more staircased and manufactured. So that's why we chose to actually spread them out a little bit and make them a little taller. And believe it or not, the bylaw compliant walls will actually give us more yard space, but they do not fit the contours well at all. We do think they might be a little harder to construct as well, though, because there's such tight space in between. It's harder to work a machine in between them. So between us and the client, this is what we kind of decided that we thought looked best, and said, let's go in for variance over doing the compliant walls, because we didn't think the compliant walls really looked very natural.
Yeah, fair answer. Yeah, every site's a little unique, chasing grade, right?
Yes.
Just want to be clear, you were talking about lot 7 there, Reed, not lot
Yes.
6.
No, I was talking about lot 7 there. Yeah, because lot 6, we kind of drew the bylaw compliant walls. We didn't put it into our package because we found it didn't really look much different. It didn't do anything, other than tighten up the space for the planting. So we felt like, because we were still not projecting into any setbacks at all, and we weren't asking for that much in height on it, it seemed more logical to just keep it the way it was. Adding a 4th tier just ends up squishing the planting down. And with the system we're looking at, of course, the way I've drawn it, I've drawn a vertical wall that's 2 foot 2 thick, which is about the average of what our walls will lean back. They actually lean on a 70-degree angle, so they're not quite vertical. So when you add more walls and you have them closer together, it just ends up looking like a big steep slope. So we figured it was better off to space them out a little more and make them taller and have more natural planting in between.
Now, I don't know if the Board of Variance is aware that the village has hillside development design guidelines. It's a document that we recently put together that is, our attempt to control the aesthetics of hillside development. And we cover off things, like design of retaining walls, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's a document that would be quite helpful for the Board of Variance to have a look at. And it would help you with, these kinds of applications in future.
Yeah, probably worth distributing.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, any questions for Reed?
No, we're only looking at lot 6 right now. So
Correct.
there's going to be another variance coming in for lot 7.
Correct.
And we've just had a bit of a preview. Okay.
Our plan, just so you know, our plan is to have irrigation as well, but we're also hoping to do stormwater retention with a buried tank, and then be able to irrigate with collected stormwater and not use city water for our irrigation. So we should be able to keep the front yards very green, even in droughts.
Okay, no more questions. I think we're free to demote the panelists back to attendees.
Sure.
Do we have any members of public?
No.
No, so we can skip that.
So, okay, yeah, so Reed and Farhang, thank you very much. You're going to be demoted back now to attendees, and you'll be able to hear us, but you won't be able to speak anymore. So any closing comments before I do this?
No, we'll wait for the end of the next one here.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Reed.
So yeah, we'll have to. I'll make a motion to approve the variance with the conditions that basically require the variance to be approved on the condition of general compliance with the proposed site plan lot 6.
Works. Yeah, I'm on board with that. I don't think there's anything there that is out of line with what's been done before, or out of line with what we saw last time. So it looks pretty good to my eye.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I think it's I think they've done a pretty good job here, and you know, the exposed faces aren't humongous on this one.
No.
You know, you do have to retain up there. It is always a challenge. And leaving the hillside the way it is, I don't know if that's really optimal either. So I'm in favor of this. I don't have a problem with it either.
I like the addition of the vegetation plan. It gives you a sense of where things are headed with their development too, and it just gives you some, I guess, more confidence that there's a plan in place for what that is going to look like.
Yeah, I think with the planting they've got, like the type of wall they're going to use, that's actually really neat. You know, we're seeing a lot of just big rock stack walls up there. So this I think will probably just blend in. This guy anyway, the lot 6 one.
Yeah, and it's difficult to make any commitment regarding the irrigation, but it's obviously it's obviously a plan with this particular wall. But it is a big thing to irrigate it, to make it green. Hopefully that will happen.
I might be slightly overstepping here, but if you want to ensure that, you could include that as part of your your conditions of approval. That irrigation and, you know, the planting takes place as demonstrated.
Yeah, I did see the you know, the landscape plans. I just didn't notice any specific irrigation plan, but I personally, I think if we just keep it to the general compliance with the proposed site plan, it does indicate that there is landscaping there.
Hmm.
And it would keep it simple for this. Yeah, it is. They are on the plans. It does show the layers of soil that are in the wall, and it's not rock. So it does give a basis for any native species to actually survive there on their own. I think it should be okay.
I would share that sentiment, Phil. Yeah, I think for their own interest, something aesthetic will go in.
I mean, if you are trying to grow something very specific, then you know, the irrigation becomes a big issue. But I think if you're just putting in Oregon grape and kinnikinick, once you get it established, it's fairly resilient.
Okay, so Tom, where are you at? Are you happy to approve with?
Yeah, I'll approve that. Yep.
Yeah. Lisa, help me out here. Do I read this out?
I would say that you would ask for a motion, and I think Phil made that motion of it looks like option 2,
Mhm.
Mark's report, and then you would ask for a seconder. And Tom
I'll second that.
seconded, and then you would say all in favor, and that you don't need to read out the whole thing. It's
Awesome.
on.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so all in favor? Yes, I'm there.
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
And then you would say motion approved.
Okay, motion approved. I think that leads us directly into Mark again, lot 7.
Great. So yeah, Board of Variance retaining wall for 7510 Pebble Creek Drive. Very similar process to the last one. Application was submitted June 30th. We're reviewing it July 28th. Very similar, exact same neighborhood in the Ridge, RSA 2, but now we're on the lot next to lot 6, 7510. And the surrounding adjacent land uses are single family. So the difference on this one are going to be the heights. So to vary section 4.13A, length of retaining wall greater than 1.2 in height into any required setback from 0.6 meters to a maximum of 1.449, a relaxation of 0.849. So that is that side yard setback, and I'll show you a picture of it later. And then for the 4 retaining walls on site, section 4.13A8 to vary the height of the 4 retaining walls from 1.2 meters as required to a maximum of 2.04 meters, a relaxation of 0.84 meters to be sited on the lot in general compliance with the location on site plan lot 7A-012 dated March 13th, 2021, or in a location approved by the building permit, and to vary section 7.219AI to relax the maximum height of retaining wall from 1.2 meters to a maximum of 2.04 meters, a relaxation of 0.84 meters. Bit of history. The application is for the retaining wall, and the agent and the owners of 7510 Pebble Creek Drive understand that the proposed retaining wall structures require variance, so then it was decided to go to the Board of Variance. Today, retaining walls are subject to section 0.413 and 7.21 of zoning bylaw 832 2018. Section 4.13 AI states no structure or feature shall project more than 0.6 meters into any required setback. There is a retaining wall on site that is projecting more than 0.6 meters into the required setback. It does say that a wall can project into it if it is 1.2 meters. It allows retaining wall up to 1.2 meters, but since this retaining wall is more than 1.2 meters, that's why variance is being asked for. And then similar to the last one, retaining walls above 1.2 meters in height require variance to be constructed, and one proposed retaining wall is projecting into the required 1.5 meter setback. Similar to lot 6, the site is sloping to the southwest. Some pictures. This is the south property line looking east, and then this is the south property line looking west. This is the middle of the lot looking south to Mount Curry, and this would be the neighboring property, lot 8. And then this is near the east property line looking west, and just for reference, a pedestrian standing next to the already constructed retaining wall offsite. Here's the drawing of the proposed retaining walls, and this red line is the property line, and it is 2 inches from the property line. Definitely within that required side yard, interior side yard setback. So the variance is required on the maximum height with the average natural grade on wall 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then since the retaining wall does project into the side yard setback, there's also a variance required going towards lot 6, which would be right here. There is no variance requested for the horizontal retaining wall since they are more than 0.6 meters in width across. All four ones need to be or are requesting the variances. So 1.52 meters requested relaxation of 0.3, 1.73 meters requested relaxation of 0.51 meters. Wall 3, 1.5 meters, a relaxation of 0.28 meters, and wall 4, which is the green, it's 2.03 meters, relaxation of 0.82 meters. Here's some more renderings of the wall and some site profiles. The applicants have also presented a landscape plan for the retaining walls. And similar to the last one, the communications was sent out to all neighboring properties 100 meters within the property. And again, 0 submissions were received regarding the proposed variance to village staff. And similar to the last one, the options either approve the variance with conditions, reject the variances, or to deem the variance request to be outside the mandate of the Board of Variance, as the board does not consider requests to be minor. So in conclusion, similar to the last one, but this one definitely has the setback variance. The last one did not. Any questions for village staff?
Yeah, Mark, can you clarify one thing? You said that a wall 1.2 meters tall is allowed to project into the side yard setback?
Correct. A wall 1.2 meters in height can sit anywhere on the site. However, with this wall down here, it is greater than 1.2 meters.
Yeah, where are we at?
It is within
Five?
the side yard setback. So it's requiring that variance.
So on that south wall, or I guess it's not south, north is left. On that west wall, they are at 1.5 and 1.52.
Correct. If they're at 1.2, they would be allowed to be there.
Correct.
Okay.
Do we have any renders of I saw a render there with, I guess it's a lot 7 house. Yeah, do we have anything showing lot 6 and where that house is sitting?
We do not have a render of the lot 6 house. The only isometric drawing similar to this was up here. So this would be lot 7, but yeah, there's no house provided on lot 6.
I guess it'd just be interesting to know, like, those the retaining walls in question, just how that kind of the impact it would have on the lot 6, the house and the landscape, I guess.
Yeah, the almost 180 view of this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know right now it's the same owner, but it's probably not going to stay that way. So it'd be interesting to see what the plan is there with 6.
There was nothing within the application showing that. Perhaps the applicants can speak to that.
Okay.
I mean, effectively, they're just asking for about a 1 foot variance on those on the lower wall that would be in compliance if it was within 2 inches of that adjoining boundary. Technically, so they're just looking for an extra 1 foot on that 1.2 meters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you push both of those walls, I guess, the purple one, the green one, east.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where it'd be interesting to see the other perspective coming at it from lot 6 to what that impact might have. Like, is moving that wall slightly upslope going to create essentially a larger transition from the setback line to the property line, because that whole lot is sloping southwest. If you follow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I think it would. They'd be able to contour it fairly similar to what they have. I think it would just reduce a little bit of fill that you could stash on lot 7. And it would just reduce that yard area a little bit. But yeah, there is a bit of a complication with the walls on adjoining property lines. It can be a future complication, I suppose.
Yeah, in one sense, and in the other, it provides a nice defined boundary. You know, as a land surveyor who works in this day to day,
True.
a wall is essentially a fence, and it's a well-defined limit, so you don't have that natural encroachment. So there's some benefit to it as well.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to it would be interesting to see that other perspective and how tall that is, and would you really be, have that feeling of being sunk on two different levels between these two lots.
The other thing, I'm not sure exactly if there'd be a guardrail required on top of that wall. With the way that it is right now with those heights. And also, if you did bring the retaining walls back to the east, if that would have an impact on the corner of that, like where that house was sitting in that render, if it's going to create I guess, yeah, another complication for them down the road there when they go to put the things in. But yeah, right, yeah. So if you've got these retaining walls right on the property line, and you're in lot 6, you turn around, you see these high walls, and then on top of that, you've got a railing system that could be a fence, a low fence. I don't know what it's going to be. Whether or not that's required, I'm not sure.
I don't think it would be, Tom. Yeah.
Probably find examples either way. I think we see examples in the pictures of there's a fence on the one.
Yeah, because I think according to the code, at 24 inches, you need a guardrail.
Yeah, I think it also depends on, if it's obviously connected to the house, you do need that. With it being a yard, I'm not sure if the code extends that far. But yeah, it's a question. I think one question I would have is if the choices for the variance, if we thought that wall needed to be away from the property line, we don't have an option to put that in as a condition. It would just be, that would effectively be a rejection. Is that correct?
Well, you could like reject the variance, the retaining wall required to modify, comply with the zoning regulations.
Yeah, and
it still wouldn't.
It still wouldn't comply with the zoning regulations if we asked it to get moved a little bit, but it would, to make it comply, it would need to be 1.5 meters away.
Or drop the whole system down, like.
Yeah, get it to 1.2 meters.
So question, a clarification, Mark, could they not approve the variance with conditions, on the conditions that,
Yeah, they can approve it with conditions. For
pushed
sure.
forward, it's, I mean, I guess that you would want to see the redesign, or you could say, yeah, I don't know how that would work, but.
You'd have to really detail your
motion.
Your motion in that regard.
Yeah.
Shall we let if there's no more questions to staff, we can open it up to the applicants.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So there was a question in regards to the impact of the walls on lot 7 to lot 6. There was an overview of both lots provided. It's a site overview. It's A01.1. I don't know if that's in the slideshow presentation.
I'll try to bring it up.
So whilst they're adjoining lots, lot 6 is somewhat flared in comparison to lot 7. And at that point where you would have the retaining walls encroaching on the setback, it's considerably wider in lot 6. And whilst we don't have a house plan for that lot at this moment, that would be a much wider zone. And we anticipate at this point the house to be further north within the lot.
Is this the drawing you're talking about?
That's the
The
one.
overview?
Yeah.
So the red is the property line.
Now I can speak a little bit more to the plan of lot 6 as well, is that, you know, we haven't started any design work there, but our intention with those retaining walls between the two lots right now is basically just to get back to that main floor grade to make sure we're retaining that main elevation. So lot 7, of course, is a walk right out of the main floor into the yard, where lot 6 is quite a bit lower and a fair bit steeper. So for sure, that's going to be more about a walkout basement. You know, it'll be the deck with the walkout basement, and then probably off the house perpendicular going back to the side yards, there would be retaining going back into those side yard walls of lot 7, tearing down. So there's a good chance that a big section of that property line wall might just end up getting backfilled by the time that house is built. So the very north end of it could end up just disappearing in the backfill of lot 6.
Gotcha.
In that midpoint where between the easement and the proposed retaining walls on lot 7, there's I think that's where Reed's talking about, right where you are. Yeah, there and a little bit south from there.
Well, there's that, but that actual property line dividing wall that you guys are in question about, that is, you know, encroaching the setback just because we're a little, you know, a foot over height. So that far north end of it, where it dives into the existing grade, it's possible that our finished grade may come forward of that on lot 6, and it would be partially buried because we're trying to do more of a walkout basement, and that whole east side of lot 6 would be basically backfilled to main floor, and then you would walk out of basement at the bottom. So that whole east side would basically get backfilled right up to the main floor, which will be a lower main floor than lot 7, obviously, because the two lots do step down. It's tricky because the front yard and rear yard are north to south, but the lots do slope quite a bit to the west. So it makes it kind of hard to, you know, you can't just have a walkout basement into your backyard on lot 7 because it's actually lower on the west than it is on the south.
So once again, I feel compelled to let the Board of Variance know that with our, the Villages Council's policy of the Hillside Design Guidelines, we recommend the minimization of retaining. And we also, you know, we're really hoping as best management practices that backyards are terraced to reduce grading and retaining. I know there is often a desire to have a flat backyard, but in a hillside context, it does create, you know, quite a dramatic aesthetic. And yeah, I mean, I wish I'd thought to send these guidelines to the Board of Variance beforehand.
Question for Reed.
Yeah.
The design SFA have done, it's incorporating the welded wire, and I guess you've got quite a lot of straight lines on the drawings, and presumably you're aware, you can curve all the baskets around as much as you want. Had you considered putting some, just curved sections into the terraces?
No, we figured we'd soften it with landscaping itself and maybe even plant some boulders here and there in front of corners and plant around it to soften it up. Because of the wire welding, it's easy to
it is
cut the
easier
corners
to
and
put
bend
lines.
it.
Yeah.
Doing rounds is not, unless they're a very, very large radius, it can get kind of complicated versus an angle. So a very large radius is super easy to do with them. Tighter radiuses can be a little bit tricky, especially as they're only 20 inches high. So you got to do everything in a 20-inch lift.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mark, there's a good profile view of it in the SFA report, page 87 of the package.
Section 2, that's it.
Yeah,
That's it. Good fun.
that's viewing it from the south to the north.
Mm-hmm. And of course, keep in mind too that the variances we're asking for height are from the average natural grade of the entire wall. And then, of course, we're trying to minimize the actual exposed face of the walls as much as possible by, sloping the fill in between, so that hopefully, even on our tallest wall, you will not be seeing more than 6 feet of wall, 6'6" maybe at the maximum, that would be left exposed.
I'll just add to that, the applicant did show that within this chart right here. So these are the variances being requested, but then this is their calculation for, or what their theory is for the maximum exposed face. So they are under 2 meters on the ones.
Yep.
Read again, like what consideration was put into dropping these to comply, and then what effect did that have on your main floor walkout grade coming out the back of the house?
It didn't change the yard much at all. Just became more walls. It changed the side yard a little bit. We did push there is that rendering of the compliant walls where we pushed the side yard in and went up. So we lost a little bit of side yard up at the top. That was about it. The rest of it, we didn't really actually lose any to the south. Again, we just really felt like it was very manufactured and, didn't, the design guidelines, the hillside design guidelines say that the retaining should fit the natural contours of the land. But if we just go up 4 feet, in 0.5 meter, up 4 feet, in 0.5 meter, it doesn't match the contours. It just ends up being a staircase. So we've actually tried to lay them in there. You can see from that one right there, from that view. Now you can see and that's looking from lot 6 basically towards lot 7, that they're quite laid back and fit into the contours quite well. So again, we have some of them have 18 feet in between them, which is quite a bit. So we can squish that way up, add more walls, squish it up. We just felt that again, compared to the other rendering of the compliant walls, it just looked too manufactured to us and didn't look very aesthetic.
The added space, horizontal space between walls definitely helps to like stretch it out.
Mhm.
What do you think, Trevor? Have we had the questions?
Yeah, I think I don't have any more questions for Reed or Farhang. Do you guys?
No, I don't. No.
I'm good.
And
Okay, again, before I demote you, do any last comments, Reed or Fahang?
No, thank you.
I think my only comment again would be that, yes, we are asking for the siding on the side yard there, but it is only a 1 foot variance in height that we're asking for that side yard projection, which is pretty minimal. If the board feels that there's no way they want to approve it as is, then with a condition, yes, we could look at splitting it up a little bit more or dropping that wall and adding another wall. So we would probably still keep the wall regardless right on the property line, but we would just drop it to the 1.2 meters and then we would just add another wall. So regardless, there would still be a wall on the property line. It would just end up a foot shorter.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Lisa, did we have any members of the public that have since joined?
No members of the public.
Okay. Open to discussion on our end. I don't know if I want to go first. What I guess I don't want to see is like is precedence set that is might impact future decisions. But I don't see the ask really as massive. It's a foot over 30 cents over what would be allowed otherwise. And there's the application presents it in a way that makes it palatable to my taste and what I've seen out there. So I'm leaning towards approving it myself.
So on my side, it's more just again like how the lot 6 house and lot 7 really are going to kind of tie in together, so that I can kind of see. I know the walls would be there anyways, and it's just an extra foot on the wall, but just how that would all tie in, so that we don't get like down the road and like they mentioned how they were going to do it, but there's still nothing set in concrete as to where the house is going and how that's actually going to tie in aesthetically. That's really the only thing I think for me. They could easily move it back as well, so it could be approved with that condition. But what they've designed, I think it does look pretty good. I think it ties in pretty nice with the grade around it. So I think they've got a pretty good argument with that one. Yeah, it's just kind of the unknown of how that's all going to end up together when it all collides.
Yeah, and for me, it would be nice if you could just confirm that there is no knock-on effects if the two properties do become separate owners at some future point. But the one section of wall that is right on the property line, and it is just 1 foot over to be non-compliant, it's on quite a narrow angle of the lot, which is effectively a very small impact on that lot 6. It's in a zone that's, how would you put it? It's
Hard to take advantage of.
it's sort of like an acute angle of, it's not going to be where somebody would put a swimming pool, let's say, or something like that. But it's I can't see it in the future being an issue for the lot 6 owner.
Hmm.
But so, you know, and I think the overall intention to try and limit the movement of fill is honorable. So, I mean, in general, I think it wouldn't be setting a huge precedent. It's because it's quite a short section of wall that's on that end. And it's possible some of it would get buried, but I guess that doesn't matter.
I think also the type of wall that it is going to be.
It's green wall.
That's,
yeah.
I think that's pretty neat as well. You know, like I'm thinking if the two houses are sandwiched together and then you've got these big retaining walls in between, but the reality is if they stick to the plan there with the type of wall they're going to build, you know, it should be a bit of a green screen and actually break it all up. So
yeah.
I guess we're just not used to seeing a lot of those walls being built around here. You know, it's rock stack and then, you know, concrete. So that kind of jumps out from, you know, the highway.
Yeah, it's welded wire wall, green wall. I have seen a few and built a few, and they're great. You know, they can be good. Well, I'm on the basis of what we talked about. I'm willing to make a motion that we could approve it as an option 2 with on the conditions that they're following the site plans that they have provided.
Do we have a seconder of that?
Yeah, I'll second that.
I think then we would vote on that. And I would vote in favor of that.
All in favor.
Okay.
All in favor? Yeah. Phil, I didn't catch.
Yeah. Okay.
Motion to approve the variance with conditions is passed. That brings us, I guess, to Mark or Lisa with any potential new business.
I basically can just tell you that we did not receive any applications by June 28th, July 28th, which is today, which would mean there would be no need for a Board of Variance meeting on August 25th.
Okay, that takes care of 2 items there. So no need for a new meeting. I'll ask for then motion to adjourn, which we don't need to vote on, it says here. So that's good too. That's that. Oh, do I have a motion to adjourn? Someone, anyone?
Oh, sorry. Already. I'll motion to adjourn the meeting there, Trevor. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
I'll second.
Great,
Excellent.
thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay.
Okay, great. No worries. All right. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.